from a Google perspective, you have to stand out. You have to be different. You cannot use the same content as everyone else.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Koter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Now let's get started with the episode. Hello listeners, and welcome to another episode of Mastering E-commerce Marketing. I have a really exciting guest today. We're going to chat a lot about marketing. He has a perspective of like 2 decades in the industry. Darren Jamieson, hey, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm great, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Great. Darren, you're a co-founder and co-owner of Engage Web, right? So tell us about Engage Web and what's inspired you or, to launch the company. And tell us maybe a bit about the journey, that led you to launch Engage Web.
Yeah, we're a digital marketing agency based in the UK, in the northwest, which is a very wet, very cold part of the UK. Not that it all isn't wet and cold, of course. We're 15 years old as of this year, so we've lasted a lot longer than most digital marketing agencies do. I believe the average is about 2 years, certainly in the UK. And I've been in the industry, as you say, since the 90s. So I've worked on a lot of websites for a lot of clients for a very long time. And what made me start Engage Web was, I think, a lot of reasons many people start their own agencies. And that's because I was working for one previously that didn't really do things the way I wanted it to be done. That was doing stuff that Google's always told you shouldn't be doing. And they were doing all of it. So we thought we can do this better ourselves. We can do this a lot better ourselves. And we left and set up our company 15 years ago. Originally as a content marketing agency, doing content for other agencies. With our previous employer was our first client, funnily enough.
Okay.
We've evolved since then. So we've got about 150 web design clients. We build e-commerce websites. We do marketing, so Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO for e-com websites as well. And the agency that we left no longer exists because they were doing things when you shouldn't be doing it. And things went very south for them with one of the big Google updates many, many years ago. So looks like we made the right decision.
Interesting. So 15 years is really unique, right? I mean, one side you probably get acquired or you just kill the business in any way. Maybe a change of algorithms or the shut off of one of the networks, and then you're doomed. How do you keep up for 15 years? Why do you think you're still, thriving in this business?
Well, that's a good question. It is a very long time, and yes, most businesses in our industry do not last that long at all. One thing we do make sure of is that we empower everybody in the business to learn more about the industry and become experts in the industry. So we take huge parts of our team to all of the marketing events that we can. We go to things called like Brighton SEO, which is I think it's the biggest SEO conference in the world, actually. They advertise it as, on the south coast of England. We're going there again next April with a number of our team. We went to a marketing conference just the other week, Prolific North in Manchester. Took a huge total of our team there as well, because we want them to love the industry. We want them to know what other people are doing, what other agencies are doing, what big marketing companies are doing with their social media, what new stuff is coming in. Because if we just have them in the kind of environment that I used to be in when I was an employee, which is like being in a chicken farm where you're sat in the box and you're doing the do every day, but you're not really learning why you're doing it or what impact it has or what's new coming in, then ideas get stale, techniques get stale, practices get stale and no longer work, and you end up with unhappy clients.
Yeah.
So we just made sure all of our team love what they do, are really passionate about it, and they're keen to learn more and do more and find out as much as they can about how things are going to change.
Yeah, so keeping this agile mentality, learning every day and trying to adapt to so many changes that are just happening much faster than they used to, right?
Absolutely, yeah, because Google's algorithm update is going on constantly throughout the day. Some people think that, it's every couple of months it changes something. It's not. It's throughout the day it's making multiple changes.
Wow.
And we need to know about these things. We need to be on top of it. So you have to have a passion in it. You have to have an interest in it. If you're just a techie doing a job 9 to 5 and you don't have any love for it, then you're not going to know what's happening. You'll do an okay job, but you're not going to have that desire, that passion, and that's how agencies go under, basically.
Yeah. So I work with a lot of agencies and also interviewed a lot on my podcast, and every agency is trying to define their differentiation and what they do and how they do it better. But I think you have a very unique, I would say, messaging and perspective. You talk a lot and write a lot about helping your clients become authority in their industry, right?
Yeah.
So how do you define authority in the digital marketing space, and why is it so important for businesses?
Well, even that itself is changing, annoyingly. An authority, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a specific example. One of our clients is a company called Oil Store, and they sell oil across the UK and across the world. They even sell oil sometimes back to the Middle East, which I've never quite understood how that happens,
Wow.
but they do. But one of the huge brands in their business is a company called Mobil, who everybody knows around the world, multi-billion-dollar company. And there's particular mobile products that if you search for those products or examples of how those products compare, you don't find Mobil, you find our client, Oil Store, because it is about creating the content that your target audience is looking for, the questions they are asking, the problems they have, the issues they have, what they want solving, and you solve it through content. So then they find you, not your competitors, and in this instance, for example, not even the huge multi-billion-dollar brands that are around the world, because they're not doing it. And this also allows you to compete with Goliaths, compete with companies that you'd never be able to hold a candle to in terms of budget and pocket size. But if you're doing it the right way with the right content that is aimed at your target audience, then you will get that exposure, you will get those rankings, you will get that traffic, because they're just not doing it. They don't understand it. And that's how we help people become an authority. So they're the ones people are looking for. They're the ones people come to because they have the answers.
Yeah. So what is the role of SEO today for building online presence? And I mean, how do you, obviously it's such a big term, right? There is a lot of technical issues involved, strategies in the overall, marketing channels and activities that companies are doing, online businesses are doing. Well, what is the role of SEO today in this scope of marketing, various marketing activities?
A massive question you've asked there, a massive question. I'm not even sure it's possible to answer that question. Yeah. SEO is far more than just where you appear on a Google search. It's far more than just getting rankings for a website. It's your very presence, your very exposure, your very existence in the world. So it could be your brand. It could be that if your brand is trying to gain traction, trying to gain recognition, you want people searching for your brand and finding you, because that is going to help you, your overall reach, your overall expanse. But to do that, they need to know who your brand is. And if they don't know who your brand is, they're not going to be searching for you. So it depends where you are on the scale, where you are on the map compared to different competitors. Because without that search presence, you don't really exist. You can spend millions and millions on TV advertising, on poster campaigns, on radio advertising, which I've tried myself in the past, is really expensive, not that effective. But SEO allows you to get long-term success through quite simple gains, quite simple processes. It's not about overnight success. It's not about switching on a tap and getting results, as a lot of paid advertising is. It's about playing the long game. I like to equate it as in it's set in a pension for your retirement. If you're investing into a pension or investing into stocks and shares, you're not doing it to make money tomorrow. You're doing it to make money next year, the year after, and forever, as long as it may be. So for me, SEO is an essential long-term strategy that helps your business grow decades into the future as big as you actually want it, as opposed to a short-term strategy where you're just going to get results now. And one thing I think is important to mention that a lot of SEO companies don't get involved with is the results, the conversions, the sales, because they'll say, oh, that's nothing to do with us. That's for conversion optimization, or that's for your sales team, or that's for your web developer to look after. But from my point of view, I've seen far too many clients with previous places I've worked who've paid a lot of money for SEO. They've got rankings through SEO. They've even got traffic through SEO, but they've not got the sales. They've not got the return.
Yeah.
And companies have gone bust doing that. So they put their good faith into a digital marketer. They put their money, their investment into it. You need to be looking at the returns as well. You need to be looking at the sales, because if you're not doing that, then you're going to have a short-term client. They need to see the money in their pocket. They need to see the return on investment. And for me, that's more important with SEO than anything else.
Yes, I mean, just this discoverability factor is just the first step to get yourself in the first, 3 search results, maybe 5. But then someone to click on that link, go to your website, having the right, conversion, CRO optimizations. And that's obviously a very complex, it seems it's getting more and more difficult. So a lot of things obviously are still the same in the scope of this, let's say the last 15 years in terms of SEO. A lot of things have changed. So I think let's probably do a refresher for our listeners in trying to discuss what's still the same, and what are the things that are important to note, that are new and fresh and updated lately by Google.
I think the fundamental thing that's still the same is that Google doesn't care about you. Google doesn't give a monkey's who you are, or how much you've spent on advertising, or what your brand is, or what you've done. Google only cares about one thing, and that's it making money. Google wants to make loads and loads of money and be massively cash rich, which it is. The only way it's going to do that is by people continuing to advertise on Google with the pay-per-click Google ads.
Yeah.
The only way people are going to do that is if people keep using Google to find what they're looking for. Because if people didn't find what they're looking for, they'd go off and use Bing or Yahoo or something else. So Google wants, above all else, to provide its users with what they look for. If they search for something, they've got to find it. They've got to get the answer to it, and it's got to be the best answer. And it can't be some sort of nonsense that's going to send people off to other search engines, which means to help Google help you, all you need to do is to provide the information that your customers are looking for. It's that simple. You find what your customers are looking for and give it to them, the answers to the questions they have, the answers to the problems they have. You will rank higher, you will get more traffic. You will give Google what it wants, so it will give you what you want. That's fundamentally never changed. It's never changed. People will always look at shortcuts. They'll look at, what can I do to sneakily get higher rankings? What can I do to get around this? Like years ago, it would have been buying loads of dodgy links from an offshore seller in like India or China or Russia, and buying thousands of links pointing at your website to get your rankings up. And that used to work for a bit until Google got wise to it and was able to identify it. More recently, it's right, well, we need loads of content on our website, but we don't have the time to do that. We don't have the budget to do that. We don't have the team in-house to do that. So AI, ChatGPT, what we'll do is we'll go to ChatGPT and we'll say, right, produce 2,000 pieces of content about my business, my industry, what my clients are looking for. Bosh, out it goes, put it on the website, job done. And that would have worked for a bit. But Google's becoming a lot better at detecting that now. So for years, Google said, don't use AI. Don't use AI content. If you use AI content on your website, you could be penalized. It's against its terms of service. It changed that. I don't know if it's earlier this year or late last year. It said it's okay now to use AI because it realized AI was getting quite good. It's okay to use AI, but it has to be quality content. It has to be worthwhile content. But still, if you go to ChatGPT and just literally copy and paste out what it gives you, it's not going to be quality content. It's not going to be fact-checked. It's not going to have the experience or the level of knowledge that your target clients are looking for. It needs your personal involvement. It needs your editing, your stories, your personalization. So businesses will try and take that shortcut and do that. But if they do that, it's not going to work. It's going to backfire on them. Always think about, and Google's always said this, would I do this if search engines didn't exist? Would I do this to my website if there was no such thing as Google? And if the answer's no, I wouldn't, then don't do it.
Okay.
Always think about what's right for the user, what's right for the person. That's what Google wants, and that's what's going to get you the results.
And that's probably the definition of a quality content that you mentioned previously. That content that is probably AI based initially, but with the personalization, and also content that resonates with your audience, that your audience cares about, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's got to resonate with your audience, otherwise there's no point to it. Because if it's not what people are looking for, then even if they find it by accident, they're not going to read it. They're going to click back and they're going to go somewhere else. And if people are clicking back into Google from your result, it's not going to bode well for you. So you need people to find what they're looking for, be interested in it, and actually stay on there. But quality content is pretty much the be all and end all. Yes, there's a lot of technical stuff that you need to do as well. There's a lot of technical stuff that if you get wrong or you do something fundamentally wrong, it doesn't matter how great your content is, it's not going to work. And I've seen some horrifically bad errors from web designers in the past who've made some really basic mistakes. There was a company came to us a few years ago, a flooring company based in Manchester, and they had paid, £4,000 or £5,000 for a website, and they hadn't had any inquiries in 2 years, and they didn't know why. And it's because the web designer had left the whole website locked with the "Do Not Index by Search Engines" button pressed.
Wow.
And they didn't know, the web designer didn't know, nobody had looked at it, they hadn't had an SEO look at it. Any SEO could have looked at that and told them in 30 seconds, this is what's wrong. Even as she spoke to me over the phone, I thought, I bet I know what's happened here. And sure enough, it was. And it's a 5-second fix.
Oh, basic.
They had nothing for years. So there's technical stuff that you have to do, technical stuff that you have to have checked out. But the content is everything, because without the content, there's nothing to rank. And it has to be quality.
Sure. So Darren, assuming a new company approach you and they just started, probably launched a new product line or launching a new brand, what's the process that you usually implement these days?
Well, the first process would be to find out who their target customer is. Who are they looking to find? And once we've done that and identified that, and a lot of businesses don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. So we'll go through the process of working that out with them on who their target customer is. The next thing would be to work out that is there already a demand for what they have, what their product is, what their service is. Because some industries there is, some industries there isn't. It could be something completely new that people aren't aware of. There was one company we helped, I think it was last year or the year before. They had some sort of tracking wearable application for kids, so that you don't lose your kids, don't lose your children. There wasn't a demand for that because people weren't looking for it. And if it's not something people are looking for, then advertising metrics like Google Ads, pay-per-click, isn't going to work because there needs to be a search volume for it. If there isn't a search volume because it's something brand new, it doesn't work. If there is a search volume for it, then it does work. So depending on what the type of product and service is would depend on what the kind of advertising platform we would recommend to the client. Because I hear it a lot. People come to us and say, can you do Facebook ads for us? Or can you do SEO for us? Or can you do Google ads for us? And I know there's a lot of industries out there, a lot of agencies out there, a lot of freelancers out there would just say, yeah, it's this much, let's get you started. But the correct response is, let's find out if that's the right thing for you before we do that, because it might not be. And I've seen too many people attempt to do SEO or attempt to do Google ads or attempt to do Facebook ads when it's completely the wrong platform for them and it's just not going to work. So find out who their target audience is, what they're looking for, what problems they have, what their demographic is, create an avatar for them, and then find out what the right platform is for them before we start to do anything, before we even give them a pricing, a cost, a proposal for it.
So if you find a high demand for the product or service, it means that what? I mean, that market is already probably mature to some extent. I mean, is
It's
it a good thing? I mean, are you looking for a market in the growth phase or maybe repositioning, the messaging, or what is the ideal, steps in the process? Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. Again, yeah, if there's already a high demand for it and a high search volume for it, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It can be a bit of both. It depends if you've got a new spin on something or a new niche or a new target audience that other people haven't quite identified. It also depends as well on how competitive that industry is and how much your other competitors are doing. Because there are some industries which are quite well known, quite established, but online your competitors aren't actually that good. Solicitors, for example, the law profession, and we've got a lot of legal clients, the law profession is rife with this. The online, they're terrible at promoting themselves digitally, absolutely terrible. They don't put out a lot of content because they're fearful of putting out content that could be taken as advice and then getting sued for it. They can't talk about clients because of non-disclosure agreements. And solicitors' websites, and I've seen so many of them that have this, I don't know why it's rife in this industry. They all have, not all of them, most of them have content that is duplicate. So they'll take their competitors and they'll just change the names of it and copy it across. It's almost like their approach to contracts.
Wow.
It's just a find and replace. So any new solicitor that comes to us, first thing I'll do is I'll go onto their website, I'll look at their services that they have, any services pages, and I'll copy check it. 9 times out of 10, I'll find that it's nicked from another website or another website has nicked it, or there's 3 or 4 solicitors that have all got identical content. And I just don't get it with that industry. So it doesn't necessarily mean if it's highly competitive and there's a lot of people doing it, that it's a bad thing. Because in some industries, there's really good opportunities to do well in that because of the lack of maturity within the industry on a digital marketing front, if that makes sense.
Yes, sure. And it's I think it's important to discuss also your methodology about how do you know what target audience are looking for, right? I understand about all the different platforms you can use like SEMrush, Ahrefs, and finding those keywords and doing all this analysis. But for that example of a new brand or a new product that is being launched, how do you make the correlation or make the analysis and doing this research what consumers are looking for and how they are searching for?
Well, we'll use software for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we'll use tools such as Ahrefs, such as Moz, such as SE ranking, such as Google Search Console. We'll use Answer the Public. We'll use Answer Socrates. We'll use various tools like that will get you search volumes to find out what people are actually looking for. And that is, by and large, the best way because you're not guessing. You're not hypothesizing about this is what people I think would be looking for. This is what people are actually looking for. That finds the questions that they are going for then. And then it's about breaking those down into more detail because most companies won't have done that. Most agencies won't have done that into the level that we will go into on very specific situations for what people are searching for and why they're searching for it and what they're looking for and what solutions they're looking for. So, for example, with the wearable tech for kids, it's about who are the target markets for this. It's not the kids, obviously. It's the parents. What are the parents concerned about? Where are the parents going when they're doing it? So it could be they're going to the zoo, or it could be they're going to a park, or it could be they're going to the beach. You'd write specific content around those particular areas about zoo visits. I've had it in the past myself where I lost my daughter in the zoo. When was that? That'd have been about 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
She was in the gift shop looking at toys, obviously, but I lost her for about half an hour, and it was quite a hairy moment. But you look at what are the questions people ask them, what is it they try to do, what situations are they faced with, and that's where you build your content around every single piece, then funneling in to the product, funneling into what you want them to do, whether it's to buy the product or whether it's to download a lead magnet, get themselves onto a database or whatever, phone a book a call, whatever it may be, funneling them into that conversion. But it all starts with what are the problems they've got, what are they looking for.
So what would be like a good, KPIs or good results that you would have expect, from that new customer, over a certain time? Obviously, it's a long-term game, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, is it a conversion play today? Is it like brand awareness, confidence? What are your KPIs that you're working on?
Well, brand awareness is always there, but to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, I'm not a fan of that because you can't pay your mortgage with brand awareness. Um, we set out what the results are up front with the client. So I was literally just talking about this today with my team because we're putting together a new type of report for our clients because we do monthly reports for everyone. And we've just, as of a few weeks ago, revamped the whole thing. And it was the first time I saw it today. It looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we work out together with the client what is it they want to achieve. So if they're brand new, for example, it might just be getting leads into a database that they're going to retarget afterwards. It might be booking inquiries within their website, or it might be getting calls into their system. It might be sales. It might be new customers. It might be a particular revenue target that they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
One client we worked with was a garden centre, and they had a Wix website. I'll try not to swear. They had a Wix website, and they also had a separate website that was meant to be doing sales but wasn't. And they were two separate websites. It made no sense what they had. And then they said to us, what we're looking to do within the first 12 months is do £500,000 in sales. That's what we want to do. And they said that as sort of a jokingly, you're never going to achieve that, but that's what I want to do in the first 12 months. And it did 1.3 million in the first 12 months. So that is what we do. We knew they wanted sales. That's all he wanted. He didn't give a toss about rankings. He didn't give a toss about traffic. He didn't give a toss about social media followers. It was revenue for him. So it's what's important to the client. Those are the goals that we go after. So it is very much a case-by-case basis, which means I can't give you a specific answer on that because it is specifically to each client.
So what worked for that specific customer with the 1.3 million pounds success?
What worked for him, sorry?
What worked on this specific example?
What worked? It was a brand new e-commerce website.
Mm-hmm.
So previous website didn't do anything. And we did a lot of product upsells on it. So there were, for example, it was a lot of garden furniture, high-end garden furniture. So sets for like £5,000, £6,000, that sort of thing. But then they were upsold. So we cross-linked a lot of products so that they had, say, garden furniture covers. They had heating systems. They had fire pits, which is when you have a table in the garden, which you need a lot in the UK, which has a fire in the middle of it to heat it, because otherwise you can only use your garden furniture for about 3 weeks out of the year because it's just too bloody cold to sit outside. So it was taking the original products and then cross-linking everything to make sure that the basket value of each customer was at its maximum, so people weren't leaving money on the table. But what was hugely important, and this is where a lot of e-commerce websites fall down, every single one of the products that he had listed on his other website all use the manufacturer's descriptions. So when you look at other competitors, they all have the manufacturer's descriptions. This is something we come across a lot. Google doesn't want to show the same content. It doesn't want to show exactly the same results to everybody. Otherwise, what's the point in there being more than one result? So we had to rewrite every single product description. So we went through every product, uniquely wrote the description for that client, mentioning that client, getting in how you could go to the garden centre, you could see the display, that sort of thing, to put them on the website to make them all unique, which allowed him to get a lot more search dominance. So when you were looking for these particular brands, because they were all branded pieces of furniture, if you're into your garden furniture, into your rattan, it's like the Barcelona range and the Supremo range. When you're looking for those particular brands, rather than there just being loads of results all exactly the same that Google didn't want to show, we had a unique listing because ours was different. Ours was still the product name. It was still talking about all the features and benefits of the products, but it was unique. It was different from everybody else. And that's what gave it the rankings. That's what gave them the traffic. And that's what allowed them to do rather a lot in sales during that first 12 months.
So being different is much better than being better, right? I mean, just be unique, right? That's very, very important.
Well, you can be better as well.
Yeah.
That's good. But yes, certainly from a Google perspective, you have to stand out. You have to be different. You cannot use the same content as everyone else. And that's originally what EngageWeb started. As I mentioned, we did work for other agencies. It was really common where other agencies that had big clients that would never look twice at us, they would take on a high street retailer. Let's say, for example, John Lewis. We didn't work for John Lewis, so I can mention them. We've got NDAs, so we can't mention actual clients.
Sure.
They take on a big client like John Lewis. They look at John Lewis's website. They see they've got 5,000 products listed on it. It's got product descriptions. They're exactly the same as Marks and Spencer's. It's exactly the same as River Island or various other sites. They all need to be rewritten. They can't do that themselves because ChatGPT didn't exist then. And even if it did now, it wouldn't do a particularly good job of it. They come to us and say, these are the 5,000 product descriptions. We need you to rewrite all of these. And because we have a team of writers, we do that. And we do that over the space of about 3 months, 5,000 product descriptions, all rewritten, all unique, so they can put that on their website and get great results for their client. We get paid very little for doing that. They get paid a lot more because they're paid directly by Marks and Spencer's. That's the way it works.
Yes. I mean, people are usually thinking about SEO and doing the keyword research, differentiating, trying to find the right terminology, and obviously creating blog posts. But product pages are so important. And even in the product pages, the pictures themselves, if you have videos, right? Video SEO, which is another category, like every aspect of the website is so important, right? For the overall scope of things. And wow, Darren, this was really, really interesting. I want to talk to you about your podcast. You host a very, very successful podcast, the Engaging Marketeer podcast. So tell us more about this podcast and how it's unique in the overall, marketing podcast out there.
How's it unique? Well, is it unique? Is it unique? I don't know. I've been running that now for 2 years now, I think, 2.5 years. 1.5, 2. I can't even remember how long it's been. I know I started it in April, that's for sure, but it seems like a long time. About 150 episodes at the moment, and it's weekly. Yeah. So I'm scheduled with interviews. So I interview people within the marketing world, whether they're digital marketers themselves, whether they're video marketers like yourself, whether they're Facebook ads, Google ads, that kind of thing, or whether they're business owners that have started a business, whether they're public speakers, sales trainers. I interview those on the podcast, and we are scheduled now way into the future. So it's currently October when we're recording this. We're scheduled out into February next year.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. And I get people coming to me now wanting to be on it, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But every so often now, I alternate those with personal ranty type podcasts where if something gets on my wick, something really bothers me about digital marketing, or I see some business advertising something or somebody doing something that I think they really shouldn't be doing that, I'll do a podcast about it and say, this is why you shouldn't be doing it. So it's advice. It's advice for businesses. Anybody that wants to grow their business, anybody that wants to get sales via the internet, sales via any online medium, this podcast is for them. So there's lots of actionable advice. There's lots of exposés on stuff that people think they should be doing, but they really shouldn't be doing, and this is why they shouldn't be doing it. And lots of interviews with really inspiring people with fantastic advice to give in lots of different subjects. So to market your business, it's a great starting point.
Yes. And what advice would you give to someone, just starting their journey in digital marketing?
Well, there's a bloody hell. Just starting their journey in digital marketing. I would say to follow some blogs of some very good people like Neil Patel, for example. Follow Search Engine Land, follow Moz, follow Ahrefs, and read about what they do. Read what they put out, the information they give, because it's gold. They're giving loads of really free stuff. But be careful who you follow and whose advice you take. Because when I was in this industry for this other agency back in the mid to late 2000s, there were a lot of forums on digital marketing back then. I'm sure there still are now. And you'll get people on those forums asking really basic questions one week, and then the next week they're giving advice to other people as though they are the experts with 20 years experience in the field. So be careful whose advice you take, because not everybody knows what they're talking about, but most people on the internet will comment as though they are an expert. So just be careful.
Great advice. Super interesting, Darren. So how people can find you, the podcast, Engage Web?
My website is engageweb.co.uk, and the podcast is called The Engaging Marketeer, available on iTunes, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, lots of different podcast platforms. But you can, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's Darren Jamieson, Jamieson. There's only really 2 of us on LinkedIn and 2 of us on Google. If you Google for me, I am the one who's not the Scottish footballer playing for Stenhousemuir in goal. He is my online nemesis. I've got him on my podcast coming up, actually. So every time he Googles himself, he sees me. When I Google myself, I see him. So yeah, don't connect with the Scottish goalkeeper. He doesn't want you to connect with him. Connect with me. I'm the other Darren Jamieson.
Wow, Darren, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it a lot. Super interesting. Wish you all the best. Good luck.
Oh, thank you, Eitan. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. Explore Vimy, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimy at www.vimy.net. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insights in our next episode.